So there's more that happens in terms of the physics after this, but this isn't a physics course, this is a quantum computing course. So what's going on in the computer science land while all of this is happening? It's always interesting to start at the very beginning of things. Does anyone have a guess for when and what the first computer was?
Alan Turing's, I forget what it's called.
Turing machine.
Yeah.
Alan Turing wrote down a sort of definition of what a computation is. And I am going to write that. That was in the 1930s, if I remember. I have it down here, 1936. But in all of history, what can we take to be the first computer? Does it have to be electronic? Does it have to have a transistor?
Is it a calculator?
Yeah, calculator we can consider a computer, absolutely.
Maybe an abacus.
Abacus. The first abacus I'm going to write down. I should have left myself more space, so the timelines aren't going to be completely equal for a little bit. But the first abacus was found due to the ancient Sumerians. We could write around 2500 BC. Okay. Does everyone know what an abacus is? It's like, I wish I had one to demonstrate, but there's different versions of it. It's think about like beads on a stick that you can move around, and it's sort of a memory aid. You can think of it as just memory, whereas you're doing the processing, but the abacus is storing what the result is. Okay, and if you want to add two numbers, you move the beads correspondingly, and you have to remember yourself. Okay, if I need to carry one to do that automatically. So there's more things that happen in the history of computation, but I want to fast forward a little bit to the year still before Newton. I'll try to have it be before Newton on the timeline. 1617. In the year 1617, there was an invention which we call today Schickard's clock, which is very interesting. It's still a mechanical computer. It's essentially the abacus. But instead of moving the beads linearly on a line, he made them rotate. He added gears. And he did one more thing. On the gears, he added an extra cog that when you turned the gear one full rotation, it hit the gear next to it. Okay, what is that doing? It's doing the automatic carry for you. So you no longer have to remember to carry the one. This computer by Schickard, which we call Schickard's clock, did it for you. So this, I want you to think about as an abacus with an automatic carry. You might go think about how to do that. It's an interesting design problem. If any of you are interested in that, it's not necessarily the subject of this course, but if you do it in fewer than like 2,000 years, you did it faster than the history of computation. So now I want to highlight for you also, still before Newton, 1672. This was another famous computer in the history of computation due to Leibniz, and it was called the stepped reckoner. Stepped reckoner. He sort of formalized this gear thing in what we now know today as a Leibniz wheel. And this was the first mechanical computer still capable of doing addition, multiplication, subtraction, and division. Okay. So these are all mechanical computers, and in addition to that, they're all computers that you have to power yourself. Okay, so you provide the power. It's interesting to note the first time that changed in history, and for that I'm going to write down in 1842. There was a invention due to Charles Babbage. Does anyone know a history of computation, what Babbage invented or designed, perhaps it's more appropriate to say? Name of this is the analytical engine, which was never constructed. It was sort of too complex for the machinery of the time. But what's notable in addition to it being complex is that it was powered by steam. So this is a steam-powered computer, as opposed to you powering the computer yourself. Also in the 1840s, there is another important happening, 1847. The mathematician, I believe, George Boole, invented what? Boolean algebra. It's in the name. This one's easier. So Boolean algebra is in the 1840s, Boolean algebra. Of course, we're going to see this in the course. There's a lot more that happens in the history of computation, but I'm going to gloss over it in the interest of time. No pun intended. And I'm going to fast forward to now, the year 1936, where, as was noted, looking back over all this history, the history of building computers is very interesting. It's sort of removing humans from the process of computation in as much as possible. Okay, first you have to do the carry yourself. Okay, great. Now if the carry is automatic, but now I have to do repeated addition to do multiplication. Okay, so that becomes automated. Then steam becomes a power. So this continues. Eventually, somewhere in here, it changes from mechanical to electronic, or electromechanical first and then electronic. But what I want to write down next is, and I'll try to make the timelines match up now, 1936. As was noted, mathematician Alan Turing wrote a paper called On Computable Numbers. In which he, not for the purpose of computation, but for the purpose of solving a math problem, formally defined what a computation is. Abstracting away from all these sort of details about how it's built and what powers it. He writes down what we call today as a Turing machine, and we're going to spend some time in the course thinking about this. This is our first formal model of computation. From this sort of theoretical computer science takes off. So in 1938, shortly after, we had Claude Shannon, a famous name in the history of information science, demonstrate that we could do Boolean logic in circuits. So this Boolean logic that was developed in 1847 was shown that you could develop circuits which implements this, doing logical operations, for example, and, or, not, this type of thing. So we could do this in circuits. That's a huge thing, obviously, for computation. It's also worthwhile noting, because it's the same person, in 1945, one of the first sort of big computers was the EDVAC. And there is a report written about the EDVAC by none other than von Neumann. And this gave us, for the first time, a particular architecture in computation that we still use today. How many of you have heard of the von Neumann architecture? Only one? Okay, two. So, central processing unit connected to memory. Famously, there's the von Neumann bottleneck in accessing memory. So this is when we came to have that in 1945.